how I overcame my depression as a man in 2025. And if you're a lady watching this, I know there's probably not many, but if you are, welcome. You are also included in this video. I just put the title for a reason because we have a mostly male audience. And I know you are usually used to seeing me do fragrance content, talk about colognes and perfumes and fragrances, but we are also kind of moving this page into a little bit of a different direction on YouTube where we're covering men's wellness as a whole. And today we're going to talk about how I overcame my depression, and I hope that this video will give you hope. I hope that this video will give you tools that you can use, and you will actually use these tools that I'm about to talk about. And I hope that it can just spread awareness in general about men's mental health and really help somebody out there that's going through a dark time. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, my backstory, where I was at, and where I'm at now. And just to give you guys a brief overview of what was going on. I'm not going to edit this video, so if I mess up, if I say weird things, just ignore it. It's whatever. But so where I was at about 7 months ago, I guess, was I was what I would consider borderline severely depressed. I wasn't ever diagnosed by a doctor, but the symptoms I was having and the thoughts that I was having about life in general, now looking back on it, clearly I was very depressed. I wasn't gonna off myself or anything, but I was having those thoughts of like, I don't know how I can continue on like this. I don't even want to like wake up tomorrow, kind of thing. I don't want to keep going through life like this. I don't want to feel like this anymore, or live anymore in a sense of, if it's this hard, I don't want to do it. But I would never have like done anything about it, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, so that's where I was at. I was overworked. I was working 3 jobs. I was trying to keep up with content, putting 2, 3 videos out a day at one point, and then it kind of slowed down to more like one, just because mentally I was not doing well and I was not as productive as I could have been. But yeah, I was working 3 jobs. I was barely getting a day off a week, if that. And on that day off, I would just lay in bed. I would just lay in bed. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to do basic things. I didn't really even want to shower. But I was still taking care of my hygiene because I was working, so I was showering, and I didn't want to, on the days that I had to work, I didn't really want to get up and go to work either. And I just really had no purpose and no sense of the future, and no excitement for the future, and no excitement for life. And not every day is going to be like that. And I just want to say that that is the reality, that not every day and every week, even if you don't have depression, some days are going to suck. Sometimes life just sucks. And that's just the truth of it. But it should be more positive and more excited outlook on life than it is negative. And so, if you're going through it and you're having a hard time, I feel for you and I know where you're at. And that's what this video is here to help you with. So, the first thing that I did that kind of um, really made a shift in my momentum and my mental state over time was reminding myself that nothing is permanent. If I'm having a bad day, if I'm having a bad hour, if I don't feel like doing anything today, or if I don't, even if I didn't believe it, I would remind myself that life isn't going to always be like this. Even if I didn't believe it, 10 times a day, 80 times a day, however much it took, I would remind myself that this is not going to be permanent. This is not forever. I will not be like this forever. And I had to build some sort of mental resilience to it. And that can be very hard, but eventually I started to believe it and I started to feel it. And it really did work, and I would write it down. And that's another thing that I would recommend, even for this video, if you want to get a notebook out and write some things down, or take some notes on your notes app. But I would recommend getting a physical notebook or something to write with on a day-to-day basis, with a pen. Physically write, not just write it down in your notes. There's a difference I find from me physically writing than just typing on my phone into my notes, because I can get so distracted on my phone very easily. I'm a little ADHD, but with a piece of paper, it's very one-track thought, you know what I mean? So every day, just getting a piece of paper out and a pen and writing for 10 to 15 minutes, just writing, just thoughts, things you're grateful for. Even if you don't believe it, even if you don't physically believe what you're writing, like especially when you talk about things you're grateful for or whatever the future holds or whatever, even if you don't physically believe it, just write it down and write your thoughts out of your head. Declutter your mind, declutter your thoughts, because There's so much going on up here that's weighing you down. When you get it out on a piece of paper, it does take some of that load off. I find for myself, it really does work. And another thing that goes along with the writing is, I would say, write down every day 3 small things that you can do on a day-to-day basis with whatever position you're at, with whatever power you have in that moment or in that day. Write down 3 goals that you have for that day that you can achieve. They need to be very easy to achieve, though. So, like, if you're having a hard time getting out of bed and showering, write down that you're going to take a shower. If you're having a hard time just with everything, just do a load of laundry, or go for a 10-minute walk outside, or write down you're going to go to the grocery store today, get out of the house, and even if you just go buy a pack of gum, whatever. But write these small goals down that you can really achieve during the day, and make sure you do them and achieve them, and it'll start to build momentum in your brain, because your brain will start to see, hey, I'm doing the things I said I was going to do, and it'll start positively rewarding you for achieving those goals, and it will start to snowball, and eventually, you can move into writing down bigger goals, and that will very, very much make a difference over time. Nothing's going to be instant, but over time, you achieving these little goals you write down will help you. So the other thing that really, really helped me was changing my environment. So, like I said, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I was in a relationship that I was not very thrilled about, a long-term relationship. And it could have been due to the mental state that I was in or whatever, but I got out of that. And I also, one of the jobs that I felt was sucking the life out of me, I stopped working that job. I stopped. And I will tell you, those 2 things made the biggest difference. Changing my environment was very important. So getting rid of the things that I felt were sucking my energy and my soul out, because it felt like the way I was that all my energy was going to everything else but myself. And I feel that was a very big contributor to the way that I felt mentally, because I had no energy left for myself. I was not taking care of myself. I was not eating right. I was not exercising. I was not sleeping well. I was not taking time for myself to do the things that Garrett likes to do. And that was a really, really, really pivotal point when I decided to oust the things that were taking away my energy or were bringing negative energy into my life. And so I just would really strongly advise that you do an overall check of your life and see what you are dividing your energy into, and see what you can do to kind of pull some of that energy back, and to make sure you have some time for yourself, and that, you take time for yourself and really make sure that you're doing something that you like to do, and you have that extra time to just be you, and not feel like everything in your life is just sucking energy out of you. It's very important, and I really do think that will help a lot. The next thing I will say is I took control over my physical health. So, like I said, I was not eating well. I had lost a lot of weight. There was a point in time in my life where I was working out 5 times a week. I'd gained quite a bit of weight. I'm a smaller dude, but I had put on, 12, 15 pounds, and for me, that's a lot. But I lost all of it plus some. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't exercising. And by quitting that one job that I was working that was taking a lot of my time and energy, I actually got more time to start taking care of my physical health, and make sure I was eating right throughout the day, getting enough calories, getting enough protein, and also getting back to exercising. And it was slow at first. It was small at first. It was like 2 or 3 times a week with the exercising. And, it may have only been for 20 minutes or so, but you need to start small and kind of work your way up, because you can't just jump into an hour and a half workout if you haven't been doing it for a long time or you've never done it. So start small, even if it's just for 15 minutes, even if it's just getting a gym membership and driving to the gym and getting on the bike for 15 minutes, or the treadmill or the elliptical or whatever. Just do it, and start small, 2 to 3 times a week, and work your way up. And I do think that getting into better physical shape, taking care of your sleep, and taking care of your eating, whether that's you need to eat more, you need to eat less, that really will help you, and you will feel like you have some sense of control, and you feel like you have you're moving in a positive direction for yourself, and your physical health will affect your mental health, and vice versa. Your mental health will affect your physical health as well. So that was another big factor. And now, with me working out more consistently, eating better, I have more energy. I have more, I feel a lot better overall. My sleep could still be a little bit better, so I'm still working on that, but it definitely is better than it was. And just making sure you're getting, 7 to 8 hours of deep, good sleep every night, and getting off your phone before you go to bed, those kind of things. The sleep part is very, very, very important, especially if you're exercising, because you need to recover. But yeah, sleep's really important. I've got some notes here that I'm looking at. And I took some time to really just do some soul searching. That was another thing. I take a lot of time out of my week now to kind of I have a chair outside. I know this sounds stupid, but I just sit sometimes, and I bring my notebook and I'll write, and I'll just sit there and think, or just look at the grass, or just do nothing really. And I started to really kind of get tuned into me and my thoughts and my life. And I found that it brings a lot of calm, and it brings a lot of understanding that, in this world that we live in, everybody is constantly busy, everybody's constantly doing things, and we feel like pressured to constantly be doing something, constantly be going here, constantly be going there, working on this, doing that. And it brought me back to reality of, like, it's okay to just be sometimes. You don't constantly have to be doing things. And what it's also done is, when I do sit down to do things, I'm more efficient with my time, because I don't feel so overwhelmed, I guess is kind of the word. But that has really, really, really helped me, is just to sit down throughout the week where I can find some blocks of time for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, and just do nothing. Just do nothing. Just chill. Just write in my journal and just think, and that has really, 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 really helped me. But yeah, just to reiterate, like, going back to that point about, people being busy in society, having these pressures on us that we need to be constantly doing stuff and moving with society. That's not true. You need to do what works best for you, because what works best for other people is not what works best for you. And if you feel overwhelmed, overstretched, your energy's everywhere else but you, that's not going to be good in the long run. And yeah, just when you do sit down to do things, or when you are doing things, just do them efficiently and effectively, and save some time for yourself. Whether that's at the end of the day, the beginning of the day, take some time for yourself. But I really do hope that you wrote some of these down and you take what I've told you in this video. I'm not an expert. I'm just another guy, who loves fragrances, who has been living life just like you. And take these things that I've said and apply them to your life. And I really do think that they will help. And if, like I said, if you're working with a doctor as well, work with your doctor. But you have to change. Nothing changes unless you change, So you have to start doing things. You're going to have to work towards this, and it won't be like this forever. I want to leave you with that. It will not be like this forever. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that helps. I'm praying for you. I love you, and I really want to see you win, and I want to see you do well in whatever you're doing, and everything will change at some point. So thanks again for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay fresh. Stay cool. Peace.